The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
I'm Dr. Mary Rapien. I'm a full-time faculty member in the STEM area. I teach biology, marine biology, and ecology here.
Do you believe the A should be in part of STEM to make it STEAM?
Yeah, I do actually. I think that for a long time we had this idea that science and art were very separate things. And in reality, I think that scientists and artists have a lot in common. So namely, our curiosity about the world, the desire and need to be hands-on with the world and interact with the world in a particular way, including that artistic, creative vision in science just makes science even stronger. It can take a number of different forms, right? So if you think about things like what artists do and how they use pigments, for example, to make paint, right? Those are all scientific principles about how different colors mix together, how the light shines in particular ways, right? All of those are scientific concepts, and artists have helped us understand those better. They've helped us understand light better. They've helped us understand perspective better, right? So I think there are a lot of contributions to science that artists make, and at the same time, think about things like scientific illustration, right? A lot of artists have contributed to our knowledge of all kinds of fields of science, medical science, botany, zoology, through their drawings and interpretations of the science. And thinking back to, I remember as a graduate student at the University of Rhode Island in their Graduate School of Oceanography, one of my favorite places to go was this room in the library called the Challenger Room. And in the Challenger Room, we had volumes from oceanographic expeditions that were filled with illustrations, strange organisms like anglerfish brought up from the deep. Because remember that in the 1800s, naturalists weren't carrying cameras, right? They didn't have phones in their pockets with cameras on them. So when they saw something new, they drew it. And that ability to see something, to observe it carefully enough to draw it, is integral to what we do as scientists when we're observing the world. The other aspect of that I see in kids, so I used to work in informal science education, and we incorporated a lot of art with our science as we were teaching kids science. And so I think STEAM is important too, because through that hands-on artistic creative component, it helps kids to explore and to learn the science. What should be the interdisciplinary nature of science? And I think the answer to that is everything. I think that science happens in a social context, understanding kind of our position as humans in the world, which is sociology, without being able to express and communicate our science, which has to do with how we write, right? Oral communication, written communication. Of course, the art piece we've already talked about, how art can also be used to illustrate and interpret scientific concepts. So you see a lot of art that kind of takes scientific concepts out in a way that the public can understand. So I think all of those things should be incorporated into the ways that we teach science and the ways that we understand science. I think again, I think art is such an integral part of the way that we see the world. And if you think about science and art and the connections between them, I don't know any scientist who doesn't also have something artistic that they do on the side, whether that's music or writing, photography. I know people who are actors. I know people who are singers. I know people who are potters and painters, right? And all of those things add this level of creativity into their lives that actually helps, because when we practice creativity, we get better at it. And science is about creativity. New ideas don't just come about. They come about through play and through really working through an idea in creative ways. And so I think that incredibly important to science being able to function, and really to society being able to function, I could talk a lot too about kids who come to school just so that they can do art, right? That's the main reason why they're there. So they're not going to learn anything if they don't have that piece of them, if they don't have the ability to express that artistic piece of them as well. Go to your school board meetings, right? You have to participate in the process and let school committees, school boards know that that's not what should be cut. Figure out, make sure that you're aware of what's going on in your school districts, and be an active participant in that. Support the arts, support science education. I think it's really important that we don't see them as an either or, right? Because I think a lot of us maybe grew up thinking we were either one or the other, right? Either a scientist or an artist. And I think the most important thing that people can do is see these connections, seek out the connections, and not lose sight of either one.